So, a couple of months back, I watched this video where this one guy was asking ourselves a critical question. He was asking, does looks matter? And I did not watch his video. I simply wrote a comment. And that comment went along the lines of something like, if anyone doesn't think that looks matter, then I don't know what universe they exist in, but it's not this one. Actually, no, I didn't make that comment. I think my comment was something more along the lines of, like, it's blatantly obvious that looks matter, and I don't know how anyone in their right mind could ever begin to argue against that, or how any case could ever be put forth in order to contradict the idea that looking good does not have a significant impact on how you're going to be treated in life. Because it does. So I guess the simple answer is, do looks matter?
Duh.
I mean, of course they matter. They matter in like every aspect of what you ever do in life. Apart from the job or a job interview or career you're going to, and to what is probably more importantly than anything else, when you're trying to mate with the opposite sex. Being attractive certainly gives you lots of different advantages in life. I mean, if anyone was to sit here and pretend that that's not the case, then I don't know what timeline you're living in, but you're not living in this one. How about this? If you honestly think that looks don't matter, could you do me a favor? Could you please go collect all 6 Infinity Stones? Because apparently that's where you're at, right? That's where you're in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You're not in this one, okay? If you're going to sit here and argue with me about whether or not looks matter, then do me a favor. Go find the One Ring and take that bit all the way up to Mount Mordor and throw it off. Because you're not here. You're in some Mickey Mouse fantasy land where you honestly think that being an attractive person does not have some kind of significant impact on your life. It most certainly does. Now here's the thing. Let's add some context now, my friends, my brothers, my sisters. We add context. If we say, do looks matter in terms of you being a good person? The answer would be no. Of course not. So, context, of course, is always going to be important when it comes to any conversation that you're having, right? If you're going to ask, do looks matter in terms of creating a functioning relationship? The answer, again, would be a resounding no. You being trustworthy, you being kind, you being respectful, you having integrity more than anything else is what's going to make your relationship well and consistent. You being an attractive person means nothing, because you can be an attractive person and a lying and deceitful manipulator that cheats on the person all the time, and thus that relationship is indeed not functional. So, yes, when it comes to actual like functionality in doing anything in particular, expressing any skill, doing anything really, being an attractive person doesn't mean squat. Like in terms, especially when you're a woman, and we'll talk about that specifically, because that's kind of really what is the most, dare I say, important aspect of this conversation of being attractive. Being an attractive person, say in like football, doesn't mean anything, right? Because looking good doesn't mean you have hand-eye coordination. So being an attractive person doesn't give you any physical traits. It doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't make you faster. It doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't really make you better than anyone else. It just means people want to have sex with you. That it begins and ends there. But see, with that desire comes a lot of perks in life that, again, you would have to be delusional to deny, especially when you're a woman. When you're a woman and people want to have sex with you, which is just basically physical attraction, that's just what it is in its most crude and simple fashion. People want to have sex with you. There's no way to deny it, and if you again were to deny it, please do me a favor. I want you to go shake hands with Mickey Mouse and Donald and Goofy and have a grand old time being the Three Musketeers with them, because you're not here with us, okay? You're not in this world with us, right? Okay? Again, being an attractive person does grant you lots of perks in life, only because people want to have sex with you. And with that token, it becomes a double-edged sword. Now, while I explain this, let's remember that this is indeed still a sword. So it's still a perk in life, but it does come with a bit of insecurities. A lot of insecurities if you're a woman, which we'll get into specifically in a second. But the thing is about being an attractive person is that you're never really going to know if what you ever got is based on your own merits or if people want to have sex with you. And if you're a callous, soulless human being, like if you're a woman, you could sleep your way into lots of different positions, and you could tease your way and use your body to get lots of different money and lots of different positions and power and things. However, the only problem is it's going to be finite, and it's only going to be as strong as people think you are attractive anyway, and it's only going to work on people who think that you are attractive. So the power is inconsistent, right? Because if you're a skinny blonde woman, right, and you pull up to some black guy who likes like thick white women, then your powers of persuasion mean absolutely nothing. And I think that is where a huge insecurity when it comes to attractive women and being attractive and being beautiful comes in. Because even if they're as dumb as a sack of bricks, the strength of their power is only as strong as the other person's attraction to them. And if it doesn't exist, then there's really nothing they can do if they don't have any other particular skills. Because again, being a good-looking person, it only just means that people want to have sex with you. It just kind of begins and ends there. And another issue I've often noticed with a lot of attractive people, again, more specifically, women, is definitely the insecurity of never being able to trust whether someone really likes you as a person or whether someone only likes the way you look and the social clout that you give them. You know, and a lot of women become trophy wives. Like, if they don't care, or if they're too stupid to care, I guess, really, then they become trophy wives, and they just live their life on autopilot, and they just kind of exist. But if you're an intelligent woman, and you're pretty, well, this can definitely be a really scary thought or an insecurity to you. And if maybe not even intelligent, but I get at the very least self-aware woman, if you're self-aware enough to realize that people clearly find you attractive and people clearly want to be around you to some degree, it can be the opposite of feeling like you're ugly and no one wants you at all, which we can get to in just a second, because that's also very important as well. I feel an interesting conversation to have. But if you're an attractive woman, I guess to conclude this thought, and you have enough self-awareness, a huge insecurity a lot of them have is never really being sure if people actually want to be around them for who they are as people, or rather people just want to put their dicks inside of them. And also there's the whole like catty jealousy girl thing, but that's kind of its own thing, so I'll leave that there, right? So what's really interesting about this conversation of like, do looks matter? The only people who say that looks don't matter, hilariously enough, are really attractive people. You ever notice that? Like, if you watch any video, right? If you go to like any pickup artist seminar, if you go to like any woman talking about this subject matter, anybody who ever would come to the conclusion that looks don't matter, it's all your personality, you'll notice consistently they're not very attractive people. They're not ugly people. They're not unattractive people. They're not ugly people. They're good-looking people who have deluded themselves into believing that no, they haven't gotten to where they've gotten because they're pretty people or because they're attractive men. Actually, no. This is more from like men are actually really interesting because like it doesn't really matter how good-looking of a man you are. If you don't have the skills to perform, no one really will give a shit about you. You might be able to have lots of easy sex with like low-end women, but that's kind of about as far as you'll go in life. Maybe you could become a male model, but even then, like, you still aren't really obtaining anything other than like existing. And I guess that is kind of cool. Like, I don't think it's kind of cool, but maybe you do, but whatever. More often, this conversation is going to revolve around like women because they're the ones who are more primarily concerned with their looks. With men, and you have incels, but we'll get to them in a second. We're going to get to incels, and we're going to get to women who feel ugly, like, in a second, because they're the other half of this conversation as well. But, like, more specifically, talking about being an attractive person, like, no matter how many insecurities that you'll have, no matter what, if you're still a beautiful person, like, you're still going to get perks out of life. And it's really hilarious to me that the only people I've ever seen be able to like come to the conclusion that looks don't matter and somehow personality beats out everything are always attractive looking people. It's like, again, they don't seem to realize that they are where they are partly because they look good, especially if they're in relationships. That's absolutely, positively, probably about a good 45 to 65% of the reason why they're dating who they're dating at all. And guess what? Oftentimes, who are the people that they're usually dating? Very handsome men, very attractive women. It's just, it befuddles me that you could be so fucking deluded as to think that somehow you got to where you were because you weren't attractive. It's just the merit of your own skill. But see, here's the thing. Of course, no one would really want to accept that. And I can understand why no one would want to accept that, because then you would have to accept that you're not really special, just your face is. And without your face, then you're nothing. And who really wants to come to terms with the fact that they're like null and void of a person, and that the only thing that's great about them is just like the skin they had no control over, and that they can't even like see half the time. Like if you really think about it for a second, being a beautiful person is a trait that solely exists for other people's sake, because you can't see your face most of the time you exist. Like I'm like anyone who makes YouTube videos is special, because like we have to edit and create videos, so we see our faces a lot more often than most people do. But most people, you know, you brush your teeth and then you go to work and then you don't see your face until you brush your teeth again, if you are that type of person, and then go to sleep. Your face, or being attractive, is a trait that solely exists for the sake of other people, because again, it doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't make you better as a person. You only get perks out of it because other people like you. So it draws people to you and you get perks out of it, but like the perks you get are all oftentimes bargaining chips to get you to do something, right? So oftentimes, and this is especially true for a lot of women, they oftentimes feel like they're objects, right? They are objectified. And see, objectification is a very interesting concept and conversation to be had that's kind of been diluted by feminists and like treated as a joke, but it is a serious conversation to be had. It is a serious topic to think about, because a lot of women objectify themselves as objects to be viewed upon and as to be looked at. No one's forcing them to do it half the time, but they realize to some degree, even if they're not all that intelligent, that they get something out of being an object. But with that comes at the cost of their own self-esteem and their own soul, because if you become a soulless object to be used, then oftentimes it causes a huge amount of depression. Like a lot of these women are oftentimes crazy, depressed people. They're very insecure, and they're very, very scared and very, very terrified of other pretty women coming around them. You're never going to be a secure person after you've objectified yourself, because you're always going to know that your power is only as strong as someone else's opinion of you. Which means it doesn't mean anything, because someone else's opinion of you could change rather quickly. I mean, if you're just an unbecoming person, then you looking good just doesn't mean fuck all to them. Or they could just not be attracted to you at all. And because you have no strength of personality, you're just kind of screwed. And so that is definitely an insecurity I've seen in a lot of different women, and probably one of the biggest issues I would say with objectification. But that's its own topic. Let's talk about something else more to this one. And that's talking about unattractive people, right? That's talking about like incels in particular, right? Like incels, and then you have femcells, which don't really exist, but I'll make a whole video about those guys like in a second. But incels are the guys who primarily talk about looks mattering a lot. And if you peruse incel forums, you'll see a lot of them think that their life is next to over because they're ugly people. They're not very attractive to women. And other people I've seen from time and time again will say that some incels actually aren't bad-looking guys. Some people do agree with them that they do look bad. And it's just kind of all back and forth. But no matter how you slice it, the truth of the matter is some of these guys are just objectively, as far as I can tell, objectively based on what women are mate selecting, are not good-looking people, right? Unfortunately. And we're going to sit here and pretend that like doesn't matter. We're going to sit here and pretend that somehow that they just have the ability to just overcome this crippling mental deficiency that they have. And I don't really mean that to say that as an insult, but I mean it is definitely crippling to them because they think that they're ugly. Like, here's the thing, and I'm trying to find the best way to put this into words, right? Because personally, I feel the best thing about being a man is that you can always compensate for whatever mishandling that you have. Just if you are an ugly person, you could always just become a fun person to be around. You can always develop skills. You can always matter if you become a really good electrician. You can always do something as a man, which is why being attractive is never really, it's probably one of the mainstay reasons I would feel like incels are mocked. It's because when you're a man, one, no one really gives a fuck about if you look good or not. Because your skills and what you produce and what you provide is the most important thing in society. Like, even if you are a good-looking man, like, if you don't do shit, then the only thing you can do is model. Like, really. And, like, no one's really gonna want you. Like, other men don't give a fuck about you looking good. Like, it solely only exists just for you to get easy access to women and have sex with them. And, yeah, sure, these guys oftentimes become arrogant douchebag bros and whatnot, but, like, as far as the happiness of their life goes, being a promiscuous man just oftentimes doesn't even lead to like long-lasting happiness anyway, and those men are also insecure for lots of different other reasons too. So being an attractive person, again, it doesn't mean that your life is going to be like ipso facto better. You know, you're just going to get more shit from other people because they want to have sex with you. Like, you'll get things out of being attractive, but like your life isn't necessarily, you're not necessarily going to be a better person or a good person like for it. You know, so coveting the attractiveness of other people might seem like an easy solution for the incels who think that they're ugly, but when you really think about it critically, you're going to see that there are bigger things happening, and it's just kind of not the end-all be-all of their lives, which is kind of one of the main reasons why I want to make this video. It's because, like, I realize a lot of people, especially incels, like people in general really, who are unattractive, don't have empathy for people who are attractive because they see like the grass is greener on the other side. They don't really see the objectification, they don't see the depression, they don't see like the lack of self-esteem that comes with only being thought of as a pretty thing to look at. They, like incels, they only see this guy is getting a bunch of women to have sex with him. They're not seeing that that's the only thing he has in life. That's the only thing that makes him a man in his mind. And that's an incredibly sad and painful thing to have. That's not good at all. There's nothing good about being a promiscuous person in general, because your entire self-respect is predicated on what other people think of you, and that can change relatively quickly. And if other people just decide they don't want to have anything to do with you, you've got nothing. That's not a powerful position to be in. But because a lot of people, at the very least, feel that they're unattractive, they can't empathize with that. They can't see that. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of one of the main points I want to get across in this video. You know, if you are one of these a la incel type people, and I don't really like using that word. I think it's a fucking stupid word. But if you are like one of these like femcells or incels, or you feel like you're an ugly man or an ugly woman, the truth of the matter is, like, one, especially if you're a man, you can definitely compensate for that, you know, weakness or deficiency in yourself. You can definitely become beyond just being an attractive person. Because if you're a man, the world is always going to need you. And that's something that a lot of young men have to learn and have to recognize and realize. Look, dude, like, the world cannot go on without us as men. It can't. So that's your greatest strength in the world, okay? You can always compensate. You can always gain skills. You can always become a much better person than what you were the day before. Always. Women, on the other hand, don't really have that now, do they? And I think is probably one of the worst things I would say about being a woman, is that you don't really have any avenues of really expressing how great you are as a person. Because like motherhood, or like being a mother, is definitely something that's definitely like mocked. Like lots of feminists, lots of people always say, oh well, you know, if she chooses to be a stay-at-home, but they don't really respect that. Like a lot of people really don't respect that anymore in that modern age. So you can't default on just your natural existence as a woman anymore to gain some kind of value or respect. And if you try to compete with men, you're oftentimes always going to lose, especially in any physical variety, but in a mental and emotional variety, or mentally and emotionally in different companies, you're still probably not always going to be the best. And even if you turn out to be the best woman in this area or this environment, you know, I mean, what is it really? Has it really given you the self-esteem that you want? Because now you're lonely because you feel like you're better than all the men around you, so you don't have anyone to date because they're all beneath you based on your hypergamy, and it's all like, well, you did all of that to get fuck all out of life. So there's a lot that goes into it, I would say. But I think overall, I guess my ultimate point that I'm trying to come across here is, does looks matter? Is it important to be a good-looking person? Kind of. As to if it's important. Do they matter? Fuck yes, they matter. I don't see how you can even begin to like argue against me there. Yes, they matter. But when it comes to the functionality of any relationship, no, they don't really matter. So my opinion is this. You would be stupid to say that being an attractive person doesn't matter in life. It does. You get a lot of things out of being a good-looking person. But does that mean that you're a good person? No. Does that mean that you're a smart person? No. Does that mean you have any worth or value in society apart from just being something good to look at? No. It only means that you're really good to look at. That's it. It doesn't make you smarter, faster, or stronger. And if you think that you're an unattractive person, well, your life's not over, and you can definitely compensate and become a much better individual in any capacity if you put your mind to it and if you want to become a better person. So being attractive at the end of the day is a good perk to have, but, you know, there are better things in life. life is going to be easier, but it doesn't mean you're going to have a good life. And that's kind of all it is. Like, it's pretty much pay to win, except it's like genetically paying to win. Like, you can pay, like, you could pay money to get perks in the video game, but at the end of the day, like, raw skill, talent, I mean, hard work's going to beat that out in the end. So, again, like, being attractive doesn't matter. Yes, because people want to have sex with you, but it begins and ends with people want to have sex with you. Anything that you get from being attractive is just a bargaining tool people are using to have sex with you. And that can cause its own list of insecurities, which I laid out earlier today. If you think that you're an ugly person, well, you can always compensate for it and overcome it. So, coveting to be an attractive person shouldn't be like the end-all be-all of your life or your existence. But let's not pretend that being attractive doesn't have an effect on how you're going to be treated and the things you're going to get out of life. Because it does. So that being said, I just hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. And shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.